Remember, there's some pretty important information here in the disclaimer. You might want to give the video a quick pause and read it.
Oh, hey everybody, it's me, Sonic the Hedgehog. Just here to remind you that if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button. And for even more amazing customs, don't forget to subscribe to Wake Angel 2001. Because between you and me, they're way past cool.
Hello everybody, this is Wake Angel 2001, and we are doing the results of the YouTube poll for what my next personal project would be. As you may recall, DeviantArt decided on Jewel the Beetle, and now that we're doing the YouTube one, the winner is Lanolin the Sheep. So, now some of you may remember back in the day, most kids' cartoons would air their shorts in 7-minute blocks, which is in contrast to today when they do 11-minute blocks to fill in 21 minutes. So, Lanolin was a character from U.S. Acres, which was part of the Garfield and Friends show. Like, you would get a Garfield cartoon in the beginning, then U.S. Acres in the middle, and another Garfield one in the end. So, Lanolin was kind of, she was kind of like the irritable, grumpy, sheep character who was she was to contrast her twin brother Bo, who was much more chill and nice. And okay, I think I dragged that joke on long enough. This is Lanolin the Sheep from the IDW comic. So yes, we're going to be making her, but since this is a comic character that I'm making for the first time, I guess a bit of backstory is in order for her. Now, Lanolin has only recently come into prominence, but she has actually been there ever since issue 2. She was a civilian character whose village was under attack when, Sonic would come in and save the day. Since then, Lanolin appeared several times as a background character, particularly in Freedom or Restoration HQ, where she was always, doing some task. And she always kind of looked overworked or grumpy or something in the background, probably because she was watching the world getting fixed up by a bunch of kids. Of course, Lanolin wouldn't always stay in the HQ. She would have some speaking parts here and there, but she really came into prominence in the most recent story arc, which is the one where Eggman had his city that was growing out and expanding over the whole world, and they had to stop it. So she led an attack team with Tangle and Whisper along with to support Sonic in taking the city down. Now, they needed a new team code name, and that's when Tangle suggested that they go with the new Diamond Cutters, which at first really upset Whisper, since, as you may recall, that was the name of her original team before they were all brutally murdered. So, yeah, like, Tangle intended to make that, like a revival of the thing, but she really should have cleared that with Whisper first. Although it kind of worked out because Whisper was okay with it later on. So yes, as a new member of the Diamond Cutters, Lanolin would make a lot of hilarious, oh my god, this is my first mission faces. Yeah, like, I don't think she really knew what she was getting into when she volunteered for actually doing field work. Although she isn't completely helpless. She even has a custom Wispon. Not as versatile as the variable Wispon that Whisper uses, of course, but it's sort of like a cowbell that can work with one of those musical note wisps to, like, make sonic attacks. Like Sonic is in the sound, not Sonic is in the hedgehog. So that's kind of cool. So Lanolin basically has a superpowered cowbell. And on another note, I just want to note that Lanolin the Sheep was designed by Adam Bryce Thomas, one of the artists for the IDW comic, who also did work on the prequel comics for Sonic Forces, and well, he kind of has a habit of drawing the characters significantly bustier. I mean, look at this picture of Rouge just kind of smushing herself all up against Sonic. And, well, you know, like, seeing as how he designed Lanolin, she's sort of naturally a pretty busty character, all things considered. And I have to say, I 100% approve. You're doing the Lord's work, Adam Bryce Thomas. Keep up the good work. Okay, so now let's actually get to making the toy. This one would actually use 2 custom figures. First, there would be the Amy Rose figure, of course, but I would only be using her legs. I flipped her skirt up a little bit and then took an X-Acto knife to the hips to, just remove the part that her legs are attached to. The upper torso would be this Janine Melnitz figure from Loyal Subjects, the Loyal Subjects action vinyl. Ignore the legs in this picture. Those are actually the sorceress from He-Man. I was doing some experiments with part swapping before I took this picture, but I wouldn't be using Janine's legs anyway. I would just be using her upper torso, because, if you look at the shape, she kind of has a natural bustiness already built in, so I wouldn't have to worry about, sculpting them. I just figured, it was actually a pretty perfect shape to just have this look natural. So, long story short, I wanted to use the upper torso of the Amy Rose figure to make the future Surge figure. So, I just needed a new torso, and this one already had a good body type. Basically, I cut off the shirt tails from the Janine figure, sanded everything down, glued it onto the legs from the Amy Rose torso, and then sculpted the belt over to hide the scars. So we basically have a brand new torso here with that, is the perfect size and shape to be a busty Sonic girl. Okay. Now, I did try to make Lanolin's head by modifying a Forces avatar in Tinkercad, but as I brought it up with Corey, my model guy, Corey Sonic fan, he mentioned that there was a Sonic Frontiers mod where somebody already made a model of her for, the game. So he gave me the head from that model, and I just printed that out. I printed the hair bits separately from the head because, with those gigantic poofs, this thing would have been a nightmare to print and then separate all the support medium out of. It was a weird defect where for some reason it stopped printing on her little bang fro, so I had to do a little bit of sculpting to round those out, but ultimately Lanolin's head came out pretty much clean. With her big old pigtails attached, you can see, what do you call this? When you have ponytails tied off, but they floof up like they're mini afros, what do you even call that? I mean, she's a sheep, so she's just really big and floofy, as sheeps are, but, it's just kind of, I don't know what to call that. But yeah, that's the only thing that was 3D printed aside from her hands. Which I forgot to take a picture of before I painted them, so we'll get to that in a second. A little bit of extra sculpting went into her body, like making her tail. It's actually anchored around Amy Rose's tail, so I don't have to worry about it breaking off. And modifying Amy Rose's boots to look like Lanolin's. So now here we'll take a look at the arms, and we can see the hands, which are another 3D print. And the savvy might notice that those are SNT's hands. Yeah, I was gonna get Lanolin's gloves, but I noticed that her hands have the same glove design pretty much as SMT's, so I figured why bother downloading and worrying about resizing another pair of hands when I already had a pair sized for the Jakks Pacific scale with these, so I just went with that. I noticed that the gloves are fingerless, but she has black fingertips. I think that might be a reference to hooves. Instead of having fingernails, all of her fingertips just end with little tiny hooves, like like the whole fingertip is just covered in one big fingernail. That's my choice of interpreting how her hands work. And the body had a pretty interesting paint job going on. It's actually a multi-layered affair. You can't really see it from the front, but if you look from the back, the way I saw the character sheet, I kind of interpreted it as her like wearing like a black sports bra affair, and then she has like a white tank top on top of it. So I painted in the sports bra thing first, and then when it dried, I painted a tank top on top, which is how I created this layered effect. She also wears a choker with her cowbells attached. I just painted Janine's actual collar green to capture that effect. And with the brown and yellow shoes, we have a torso, we have a body, which has all the same articulation as any of the other 4-inch Jakks Pacific figures. Like universal jointed knees, ball jointed ankles, hips, arms that have wrists but no elbows. Can't be perfect. And then I just had to put her head on. So, boom, there we go. Lanolin the Sheep, looking all Lanolin the Sheepy with her big old hair. And I suppose I could try rounding out the neck peg so that her head will be able to rotate around a little bit better. But I just wanted her to look, have a solid anchoring point. So her head is on there. You can pick it up by your head without her body falling off. So I always call that a win in this case. And she looks good whether she is in Restoration HQ with Jewel the Beetle or teaming up with Tangle and Whisper in the new Diamond Cutters. So everything came out great. So I hope you like the figure. I hope that she lives up to the anticipation from the poll. And this will be Waking Angel 2001 signing off.